Welcome to episode 9 of Target Acquired Podcast. I'm your host, Jeremy, aka Jerbear, and on today's episode, we look over the erratas and updates that AMG just brought to the game. We are also going to be looking at the new Crisis cards shown off so far for the War of Kings release. Let me take it over to our guests that are with me today.
This is John. I go by Swooper on Discord.
And this is Sean. I go by Reynolds Rap on the Discord.
All right, thanks for joining me tonight, guys. So first off, we have erratas and updates. Some stuff got released, I believe it was a day or two ago, dealing with some characters, some affiliations, and also some keywords in the core rulebook. Sean, I know you were looking into it a lot more than me, so did you want to go over the stuff with us?
Sure. Let's go ahead and cover the keywords first. So just some quality of life. They added stealth as a universal keyword. Probably should add a few more, like martial artist would probably be a beneficial one to add to that list. We also have two new keywords. First one is peerless. This, when it's on a character, this character cannot be part of the same squad as another character with peerless special rule. Currently, the only character that was errated to have this keyword was Thanos. I think we'll probably see some other big boys get it in the future.
I looked through the list. If I was going to guess, I'd say Apocalypse, Dormammu, Malekith seem like the prime candidates for it.
Do you think Hulk would also end up getting into that category?
No.
Depends on if they want to balance the game around Peerless. So if Peerless is made for kaijus specifically, then sure.
That's the question. Is it made to balance the game, or is it made to be like, hey, these two characters probably wouldn't take orders from one another, like, you know?
So I would like to see it be to balance the game. I'm not sure what their intentions are by it, but I could see Hulk being added just because he is in a couple good affiliations, and having him plus Thanos maybe dipped in is going to kind of get us into a bigger kaiju issue that we've been seeing. So Avengers would have Hulk and Thanos. That's a really good combo. And then Defenders could end up having it because Defenders has Hulk in it as well. So I think they might use it just to kind of split the kaijus up. And I would love to see it kind of put on all the big guys. That's my thought.
Yeah, I see it as more of a, Thanos doesn't take orders from anybody kind of thing. So you have these characters that are on the board that basically want to be in charge, and they're like, I'm not listening to Malekith. Apoc's not going to listen to Malekith. Dormammu's not going to listen to Thanos. That's how I would think of it, but I could also see it used as just a balancing issue. But then, at the same time, when it comes to that, it's almost like if they're using it as a balancing issue, they're using it like a restricted list in a way.
Yeah, and so it does kind of scream like this is just a secondary restriction list.
Right, and I hope it's not that.
Next, we have reserves. What this does is a character cannot be included in rosters. It is never deployed at the start of a game and cannot be put into play by effects that do not specifically name this character. We were spitballing this before the episode, and we think this is for mostly transforming models.
Yeah, I believe in some way now, us three, we already know to play with the normal forms of models that could transform, but I could see where there could be confusion for people wanting to start with the transformed model because there's nothing on the cards that state you have to be in this specific form. I looked over hoods, Emma, and so it's one of these things that I've never seen it happen, but I guess there could be an argument, someone starting off on the demon side for Hood or one of the other transform sides for the other characters. I've never seen it, but I guess this just kind of nips it in the butt and just says, hey, you're not allowed to do that.
I racked my brain on this one too, like trying to figure out what the hell this would be for. And the second you said transforming characters, it just sounds like the simplest solution, and it makes the most amount of sense. And it probably is just the simplest thing, and I'm thinking too hard about it.
Yeah, because at first I thought it was, they bring in new characters out. How is this going to work? And I started going down the rabbit hole, but then it just popped in my head to think of it that way.
It is a bit weird that they called it reserves if it's specifically for the same model transforming into another model, but we don't have any characters that have this keyword yet, so we'll have to see if we are correct down the line.
Now, getting into the good stuff, we got some character updates. Go ahead with those.
Yeah, so we'll start with Thor 2, the big boogeyman. Well, one of the two big boogeymans, we'll say. So minimal changes, but very impactful changes. First, they changed his builder from a range 3 to a range 2, and they took it from a 7 dice attack to a 6 dice attack. It does kind of affect I think a 6 dice wild trigger is 40% down from like where it was on a 7 dice at 50%. So it does reduce the amount of splash damage he's going to do, and being range 2 is a big deal.
I think the range 2 is a huge deal when it comes down.
I
His
really
threat
thought,
range is like I think it's like 3 inches now.
yeah, I mean, it is a big difference being from a 3 to a 2 and the positions you have to be in. I really thought if they were going to do anything, they would have either done a range decrease or an attack decrease. I didn't think they were going to hit him with both.
I think he needs both.
Yeah,
I think it is a little bit extreme. I've played with Thor a lot. One of the more common plays, if you're using Jane's leadership especially, is you just move him once and he is within range 3 at the center of the board. It's going to take his turn once offline completely, this change.
I think that's the goal too with a lot of changes, is to take turn 1 plays off the table.
He also had his pounce cost 1 more. So they updated that too.
Yeah. It's now 4 cost instead of a 3 cost. Actually, that was one of the nerfs I proposed on our earlier episode. That seems totally fine. I did not think that they were going to change the range and the attack on his builder, though.
No, I mean, I knew he was going to get something. I didn't expect this much, but we'll see. I mean, obviously, he's still going to be played in Asgard. Will he be splashed as much? I don't know.
I still think he's really good. I think it's the same thing that happens with a lot of these characters. Once they get nerfed, there's a period where we're like, he's garbage, send him to the shelf. And then you're going to realize he's still really good. He's just not as busted as he was before. So he probably won't get splashed as much, but I still definitely think he gets splashed just, and gets played in his own faction kind of thing.
I know Malekith got killed as soon as they hit him with a nerf, and
that was 2 nerfs to kill Malekith.
Yeah, he got hit multiple.
What was it? Cosmic got 1 too, and so you started seeing people not splash him as much then as well. So
right?
I'm just wondering if there'll be a reduction on him now.
He might start showing up again, though.
Yeah, I think Cosmic's going to come back into the game.
Because now that Thor has taken a hit and we're about to get to Thanos taking a hit, maybe Cosmic comes back.
Oh, we got some new kaijus coming out.
I was gonna say we have a big one coming out. That's a 6 cost as well. So or 6.
I think we got 2 big ones coming out. I think Black Bolt's going to be a bit of a kaiju.
I think Black Bolt is great just because of the amount of pushes he's going to be throwing out. Gladiator, I think, is actually extremely balanced. So I don't think he's going to break the game. He's just going to be a menace in the game.
I think there's just going to be really good combos people find a use for him with, and so it's going to be really hard to get those tokens off of him. I think people are going to bodyguard the heck out of him just to keep him high up on dice rolls.
Right, you play around him, you build around him, you play around him.
Correct. He's not a model you just throw into any roster and be like, yeah, he's awesome.
So who was the next one that got changed up, Sean?
One real quick side note on another nerf that we did not hit Thor with. Brothers in Arms is completely banned.
Oh, it's true. I forgot to put that in the notes.
Yep. So I didn't even think about that one.
That is a huge nerf.
Did you see or notice Brothers in Arms being a problem when it got put onto the restricted list? I don't think it was taken as often once it got to the restricted list.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, it was.
Yes, it was. Every single
one took
dedicated
researcher.
Yep.
I didn't see it much in this last tournament. I was walking around. I didn't see the card, so I guess people just didn't pick it to take in their 5.
I won the tournament and I had Brothers in Arms.
I don't count you.
I'm pretty sure
nothing.
It was him and Andrew were the only pure Asgard players.
And I think both of us had it. And also the LVO winning list had it.
So what other restricted did you end up taking that you?
I'll give you one guess. You only get one.
I'm assuming it's Brace.
Well, you got it.
What'd you take out for Brothers in Arms?
Usually in Asgard it's patch up.
Okay, yeah, that would make sense because that's really good along with the Odin's Blessing.
Right. So okay, fine. Patch up gone.
Odin's Blessing did not go away. I really thought that was going.
Maybe
That
it's in the
is
next rounds of
or at least
nerfs
restricted. Maybe they'll
if
make
it
it
doesn't
restricted
fix
first.
it.
So they definitely toned down Thor, but they didn't tone down Jane at all. So I still think Asgard's going to be busted as hell. That's just my hot take on it.
I just think Thor's not going to be splashed as much now. I think you're going to see others start popping up more.
Sure. As far as character card changes, so yeah, the other one was Thanos, and Thanos has a lot changed. So first, let's start with his leadership. So his leadership is completely reworked now. It no longer changes on his front side versus his back side. It is when a non-enemy grunt character is KO'd, this character's controlling player scores 1 victory. Additionally, this character may use the reactive or... Shit, what the hell is the other thing called? You can pause that and take that out. It's reactive and what?
The reactive or active superpowers?
Active. Fuck. Okay, thank you.
Literally two letters.
I know, I forgot the word.
It's all staying in.
All right. Oh, great. Additionally, this character may use the reactive or active superpowers of Infinity Gems without paying the power cost. So they move that out of its own ability. I think it was part of being immeasurable power before, and now it is part of the leadership. That is going to definitely limit his splash ability. The next thing they changed was his strike. It no longer throws on a wild. It is now a hit wild. It changes it about 10% in likelihood to happen. And then Cosmic Portal was changed to allies only. And they also gave him Peerless, which you mentioned earlier. But a lot of big changes to him.
Yeah. They really did a number to him. I think most of the stuff was fine. I think he actually ended up getting a little bit of a helping hand with his one ability, the Death's Decree.
That was reworded to no longer have it declared at the start of the attack, and now you can wait until the build.
Bodyguards or taunts are already done, basically.
Yeah, so you're not
no more
wasting the power
sacrifice,
for
no
it.
more savior, no nothing that will blank the Death's Decree anymore.
Yeah, so I think that was a nice little touch to help kind of counterbalance the other things that were taken away or changed on his card. I'm really happy about the non-grunt for victory points situation. I know that was a big staple for some people to just go around murdering everyone's grunts constantly to get the victory points out of it. But I think this kind of brings it back in line with some of the other affiliations out there that kind of count KOs and dazes for enemy opponents and their leaderships. I think most of the other leaders out there that had something around that could not already target grunts. I think Black Order was the only one for the longest time. So
Claw doesn't
understandable
care.
change.
Okay, Claw does not care.
Claw doesn't care if you're a grunt.
Yeah, I mean,
Could you imagine
yeah.
if they make his leadership worse?
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think he really needs to be worried about because it's just affecting him. It's not like victory points or gaining power or movement shenanigans from all of your people is way worse than just Claw being able to move short every time.
Well, I'll amend your comment just a second ago because I just looked up Inhumans' new leadership and I looked up Malekith's leadership. Those will trigger off of grunts.
Oh, they're still around. Okay. I didn't remember about the Inhumans' new leadership coming out. So, well, even more so that people
I
go
think he got, balanced. I think he got good stuff and he got bad stuff. The leadership staying the same on both sides is great, so now it's not like a rush to beat Thanos down to get rid of those victory points. And then, his other side leadership, I think was really bad. The one where you take damage to reroll dice, that was not good.
Yeah, that wasn't great.
Making it non-grunts I feel like is an obvious thing to do right there, especially with more characters coming out in the game. You're going to have more characters with grunt, especially
Can you imagine how bad Sandman is into Black Order if it didn't have that?
Oh my God. So if you, let's say you KO'd Sandman and he was on his side or whatever and didn't have that, would you get 3 victory points, would you not?
Absolutely.
That's crazy.
It's not a once per turn thing, correct?
I don't know.
No, it just says each time.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
bring Sandman into Black Order, give him 3 victory points.
Right.
Thank you.
He got that. The gems are now on his leadership, so you can't splash him in a whole bunch of places, but he still gets the good gem stuff if he's leading Black Order. Cosmic Portal going to allies only. It needed to happen since he has access to space and mind already as it is.
Mm-hmm.
And then, that's a nerf, but then coming back to that is the death decree being after bodyguards and taunts. Like, that was the major way to deal with that, was to pawn it off on someone else. And now they have eliminated that. So I think that's a plus.
Yes, absolutely.
It is, and you
So-
can still splash Thanos. It's just you're paying
Yeah.
a power for those gems now, which he gets 3 power if he's taking 2 gems. So
Right.
it's not
I mean,
like you can't take him.
No, and he's not power hungry at all. Every time he seems to be splashed, granted, again with the gems costing a power now, but
Yeah,
I
you're
don't
talking
think
about
he's-
games where he wasn't spending any power, so of course he wasn't power hungry. He will be power hungry now.
I mean, but his basic's pretty hard hitting, isn't it? I mean, he's gonna get power if he's attacking.
Mhm.
Sure.
So,
It is only range 2, though.
so his place. I think this is gonna change his play style up then a little bit, because I know a lot of people just used him for the teleports, moving characters around the board. Rarely got up in anyone's face with him, but we'll see. Maybe it's a different play style now for him. I think he's good still. I don't see this as like a big loss for them. I think it just balances it out a little bit better.
Yeah, I do think, though, if you're going to splash him, it's probably going to be space reality now instead of space
Space mind.
or space mine. That's what I meant.
Yeah, I could see that. Now, speaking of that, what happened with reality? Because I think reality gem got changed as well.
Yeah, they kind of double hit Black Order. I'm not really sure fully why on this, but reality gem was changed to now cost a power to activate, and it is now worded before resolve critical step. The only reason why this is kind of and it also does not work on pay to flips anymore. The reason why that's significant is it no longer works with recal anymore, which that was always a confusing interaction anyways, so it's kind of fine that that's gone. You don't have to explain to people every single time you use that ability.
Yeah, I mean, how much is it going to affect? I know with Corvus, it's, from what you were explaining before the show, it's going to do a lot to Corvus, but I think it's just going to make you have to choose when you want to use it, and it's not going to be every time I get a skull, I'm going to use it kind of situation.
I just don't think I think Black Order is going to be in a weird spot. If you're going to take Reality Gem, it's probably going to be on Thanos, and it's going to be on Thanos splashing in. Reality changing like this hits it, so Corvus required 10 power to do his like finisher combo, and this costing power now makes it so that probability of failure is higher now on his 10 power kill something turn.
We'll see. I know we have someone in particular that likes to play Black Order, so maybe we'll have him test it out for us.
Well, he's already told me that they're dead to him, basically.
And he
we'll
took him
get
out
him
of
to
his
do it. We'll get
timeline
him to do
roster.
it. Well, maybe not for the timeline, but like at our normal Sunday games, maybe he can dust them off and bring them out, and we'll play with the new stuff and see what happens.
But don't worry, there's still one more huge nerf associated with this update, and that is my Hellfire Club is now an affiliation that has characters in it.
Should always been an affiliation.
It's got
so
a really weird lineup of characters. So we have Angel, Archangel, Cassandra Nova, Magneto, Mr. Sinister, Mystique, Omega Red, Psylocke, Shadow King, Storm, and Sunspot. I feel like they just grabbed random mutants and threw it in this affiliation.
No, a lot of them, like Magneto was part of the Hellfire Club. Mr. Sinister is part of the Hellfire Club. Pretty sure Omega Red was. I'm sure Storm's been one and Psylocke's been one at some point. I think they actually were pulling characters. This was my problem with it when it first came out, is that they're like, yeah, it's Hellfire Club. Anybody can join the Hellfire Club. Like it's the fucking Eagles Club down the street or something, you know? And it's not how it works. These were like sophisticated big names and stuff. And it's really, I like that it's an affiliation the way it should be. It also gives hope for like Sebastian Shaw to come out in the future. Madeline Pryor, a bunch of other characters that maybe we weren't going to get before. I do think it is a hit though, because obviously you can't take whatever the hell you want anymore.
Yeah, I mean, but the list of who you can take and be affiliated, it's some pretty good characters. It's not a bad list of characters.
Yeah, you love Cassandra Nova and Shadow King and Storm. You put them in a lot of rosters.
No, but
Sunspot?
I do like Mystique. I do like Psylocke. I do like Magneto and Archangel. So
Mystique has kind of fallen off a cliff since her deception change.
but
The list is not great.
It's not great, but not every list can be great.
Right, exactly. It's who you get is who you get kind of thing. You know what they need though? I'm surprised that with this, by changing it to affiliation, could we have given them cards? Could we have given them like 2 tactics cards to
Or just
just like
made her leadership on her card rather than still losing a card to take the Hellfire leadership.
right? But I think if they're going to be a legitimate affiliation, they need tactics cards to benefit them. And I think that should have came out with this update where they should have gotten a, you know, I can't even think of cards that are specific. Like if my first
Team
class,
tactics card. Oh,
yeah, but one that's specific for their affiliation. So like first class for X-Men, they should have gotten 2 Hellfire Club cards to make it more enticing to try to play them. Because the list has like okay characters, doesn't have anybody that screams fantastic, I think. But at the same time, it does have characters that never see the board. So,
I mean,
being
they might
Hellfire Club is not going to help Shadow King any.
no, but they will probably end up having new characters released, and you might see some tactics cards with them pop
Right.
up.
I'm hoping when they do a character update kind of thing, maybe we get lucky and they're like, here's a couple of Hellfire Club cards because, they need a little bit of something.
Well, this also kind of goes back to the point that I've always made of maybe everyone's leadership card needs to be like how Convocation was. It doesn't need to cost one of your spots. I don't know why Convocation got away with being the only one to not require it, but I really don't think that was something they should have done in the game.
But
Was
I
require it.
was fine with that because they were still an affiliation. So when Emma was released originally, that was a tax you had to pay to be able to play whoever the hell you wanted.
Right.
And that was good. And now I think everyone that was really into Hellfire Club is just going to switch over to Mephisto now. And we're just going to see a bunch of Legion of the Lost.
Oh, I think you go Dracula.
Really?
That's where I was pointing. Yeah, I think Dracula's going to be
M-
the better choice of the two.
Man, I would love to play against someone who's like really good with Mephisto to see how he works. I feel like if you just ignore him, he does nothing. And he's not like tough to knock out or do anything to. It just, I don't know. He feels lackluster to me. The handing out incinerates, yeah, it's good.
I mean, the leadership's decent. He does have the built-in, what's a reverse bodyguard? It's not a taunt. It's
The pawn off like
It-
MODOK does.
yeah. I think it's 1 power plus 1 token of his.
Right, but then you just ignore him. Just don't attack him. And then he does like nothing. His attacks aren't powerful. It's like difficult for him to get his Devil's Due tokens. Then he ends up spending them half the time, I feel like. The cards aren't that impactful. I don't know. I feel like he's disappointing.
Going off of what we talked about last episode, where you talked about simple characters are the best characters, this is one of those situations where I would agree with you that sometimes a character can have too much and just not be good. He seems to me like they did a lot for him. They gave him a lot of abilities. They gave him all these cool, awesome cards, but he's not good.
It sounds really good. Like when you read through it, everything sounds really cool. And then it just doesn't work as well as you'd hope it would, to the point of like, he's your leader. Is it worth it, him being your leader? I don't know.
I really want to like him.
I do too. I think he's a great model. I think he's a great character. The idea of making these deals is great. But if I'm spending 5 threat, I feel like I take Dracula.
I mean, it's fair. It's just that Dracula's leadership, I don't feel like, is quite as free as Mephisto's. Like, Mephisto's leadership is always going to be decent.
Right, but you're paying a 5-point tax for Mephisto's leadership versus I'm playing Dracula at 5 threat. He just happens to be my lead.
And leadership is decent. It's not a bad leadership at all.
No,
It's not
but I
great
mean,
either.
it's not great. And honestly, if you just want to play whatever the hell you want in Thralls of Dracula, you could just also play unaffiliated if you just want to play whatever the hell you want.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I don't think it's gonna the changes that happened to everything, because I think that was all the changes that popped up in the latest update. I don't think it's going to shake up the meta too much. Again, you might see some people kind of phase out of the Thor 2, even though like you said, John, I think he's going to be still pretty good even outside of Asgard.
I think he hits the shelf for a couple of months and then people realize he's still good.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't think things got shaken up too badly. I
Really?
think no,
I mean,
I
I feel like they did. I feel like you're not going to see, like John said,
Thanos Splash is gone, I think.
yes. So you're going to see Cabal dead. Cabal's dead again. You can, yeah, sure, you can play Sin Cabal if you think that's good. Have at it. But the Red Skull 3 Cabal that was terrorizing everywhere, that's basically dead. The prevalence of Asgard will probably drop off because people are always quick to jump off anytime anything is nerfed. So I think that Midnight Suns is probably going to be the most played faction going
Yeah,
forward.
I think Midnight Sun's definitely going to rise to the top easily. And I think once the Inhuman box drops, I think Inhumans are going to rise to the top too.
I'm not going to lie. I'm going to play some Inhumans when they drop.
Oh yeah, I mean
I have some ideas.
I mean, they
that
look
box is
fun.
very good. So I could definitely see them becoming very popular, especially when you're like Cabal's going to drop off, Asgard's probably going to drop off, Hellfire Club. I didn't see too much of them lately, but whatever was there is probably gone. Unless you're a diehard person, I don't think you're playing Hellfire Club anymore.
No, I don't think so either. And Hellfire Club dropped off quite a bit when they did the card drop in November because they changed the robbery change and
Right.
then mission objective and stuff. They were really playing off of that kind of play style, and that hurt
Right.
them a lot.
I do think there's a lot of room too for we know character card updates are coming at some point. Black Order is definitely taking like a little bit of a hit, but I could see like Super Giant's pretty dog shit. So I could definitely see them just like redoing her card and then Black Order makes a comeback.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Now, do we have ideas of when they're thinking about doing card updates?
I don't remember when it was last year. I knew that the nerf was coming after LVO because I feel like every year, wait a month, like it was, beginning of February, basically, right after LVO happens, give it a couple of weeks, we're going to have that nerf of whatever is the big menace. It happens almost every year.
Well, which is why I was really shocked to see the Hellfire change because they weren't
Yeah,
at LVO.
right. I think maybe they were just afraid of once we hit Thanos and once we hit Thor, what's going to happen. They're like, well, we don't want Hellfire just to jump back up to the top again. But at the same time, like I think Midnight Suns is doing like exceptionally well right.
They got a lot of good characters that are affiliated.
Yeah, they definitely got
they do.
a bunch of affiliated characters now compared to like what they used to have. Anytime I think you get an influx of not just like 2 characters, like in Humans, they're going to get an influx of 4 characters. It's probably going to help out a lot.
I mean, it's more
It helped
options.
Asgard.
Yeah, I mean, it's more options to have a good combination of characters on the board doing something. So, especially with the back 2 of the new Inhumans coming out, Gorgon and was it Karlak? Karnak. Those 2, definitely are going to bring a lot more to Inhumans for just going a little bit different gameplay, like going a little wider. I think we're actually going to probably see a shakeup of how people play the games with the topic down the road here of crisis cards coming out. But yeah, it'll be interesting. I still think, I don't think Hellfire is going to get played much anymore now if you have to be locked into certain characters. But I think Thanos is still going to get splashed. I think he's going to still be out there. Maybe the gems will change what he takes, but I think he's still just good enough with the 2 teleports to still make it. So.
Yeah, but keep in mind, it's only 1 now.
Well, you're still getting, if you're taking the gem, you're still getting 2 teleports for allies. So you can still move a bunch of your allies around, which, some affiliations really want that to happen. I don't know. I still think I don't think much is going to be changed, but we'll see. We'll see, definitely.
Well,
Okay.
before we get to the crisis cards, we have our shameless plug. You're listening to episode 9 of Target Acquired Podcast. We hope you're enjoying this episode so far. If so, please show your support by liking and subscribing to the podcast. We'd also love for you to join the conversation with fellow listeners on our Discord server, where you can discuss the episodes, share your thoughts, and connect with the hosts. Oops. Links can be found in the show notes. And back to the show. Crisis cards.
Yeah, so A lot of different Crisis cards got revealed one way or another. Some kind of got leaked. Others officially got released through AMG's website through a transmission that they did. I believe the transmission actually dropped today. So some things that we weren't expecting, but Sean, do you want to go over card by card here and we'll kind of talk about it?
All right. Yeah, we can do it. All right, let's start in no particular order then. Let's start with Deadline to Destruction. This is a new secure. It is at 16 threat. It is a, oh man, if I can memorize shapes, I would.
It's a P. I just looked it up. I
This
did
is
the
a
exact same
P?
thing. I didn't even know.
This is a new shape, isn't it?
Okay.
That's what I wanted to look up. Is it a new shape?
It is a
I don't
new shape.
recognize this shape at all, so this has got to be a new one.
This is like they took Shield Base and turned it sideways.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because what's it called is also a new shape. O and R are new shapes. O, P, R, N. What the
Yeah.
hell's the difference between N and M?
Do we still skip A? We're not talking about A?
No, we don't talk about A anymore.
Yeah, so M.
A is terrible.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 new shapes. Because the last one, the last shape was Senators, which was L.
All right. So I guess this
But
is
M and N are very similar. Like, very.
well, we are just completely professional here, and we totally knew these things before we started talking about them.
Absolutely.
I was glad that Jarvis Protocol had them set up in like the references for the
Yeah,
map.
I'm gonna pull that up now instead of reading the leaked cards. All right. The Deadline to Destruction. It is a 16 threat. It is on a new P layout. There are 4 detonation console tokens, also known now as points of interest, on the map. The interact. Choose an enemy character within 3 of this detonation, holding 1 or more extract tokens. The chosen character may drop any number of objective tokens. Then the chosen character is, if the chosen character is holding 1 or more extract tokens, it suffers 1 damage and gains 1 power.
We got there.
We got there eventually. We'll clean it up on the next one.
That's right. Now, with this one in particular, I feel that this would do very well if your opponent was playing the Deadly Legacy virus. It gives you a way of being able to drop a virus off of yourself to potentially have a friendly pick it up. And so if you don't have characters that have ways of moving a virus cure over to another ally, this is kind of like a placebo style way of doing it if you really wanted to.
And these detonation consoles cover a huge swath of them.
Especially within 3. If you're in the center of the
Right.
board, you're within 3 of all 4.
No, you wouldn't. You might not be, because technically the center of the board
No,
is
you're
5-4.
right. It's 5-4.
So it would literally probably be like a small base or maybe just a medium base worth of free space in the center of the board. But outside of that tiny little section, a lot of this board is covered by this. You're going to drop your extracts if you're not like in the corner. You can choose. Obviously, you take damage if you don't want to, but
I'm really glad it does say choose an enemy character, so that way you can't make that stupid play that Jeremy just brought up with the Legacy virus.
right. That would be
So dumb. Oh, I dropped my own token. Oh,
Oop.
hey.
It's still my turn. I pick them up. Especially like a long mover. You just like run to all the ones to make them drop it. You just pick them up.
Shit, I'm sorry. I was looking at it as far as you're interacting with it, so you're able to drop it to do a damage to a character within 3.
No,
That's what I
if
thought
you
you said.
choose
I'm
another
sorry.
character, then that they may drop a token. If they choose not to, they suffer damage.
You know what I wish it did say though, and it doesn't really matter for too many of them, but I wish it said then the chosen character is holding 1 or more. They took a damage for each one they were holding.
Well, the reason why they don't do that is because this P layout is so close, you can interact with 2 to 3 of these in a single turn.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I guess that's true. If somebody's holding 4 hammers and you hit them twice with it, they'll take 8 damage. So yeah, you're right. It's pretty ridiculous.
Now,
That's not bad. You just move, like let's say you're in the far left one, you move to the back one, and it's like, all right, just take straight
Take
2
2.
damage.
or drop your extract. I'm fine with you dropping your extract if you
Right.
choose to do that.
so John, you might have some in Shield because I'm not familiar with all the abilities of the Shield characters, don't you have somebody that allows you to transfer once a token is an objective is dropped, transfer it over to another character, or you get to place it where you want it?
So Shield Agents I decide to place, and Black Widow 3 I decide where to place it.
You would be thinking, is it Fisk's leadership that allows you to transfer it over?
Fifth leadership and Toad also allow you to transfer things.
Okay, that might be where I'm thinking then. But with your shield, though, with you being able to choose where it goes, that's going to benefit you a lot now, too, then.
I mean, that benefits me in every game.
But more so with this crisis objective, you're not going to be as hindered as other affiliations would be. So
I don't think it makes a difference depending on any extract. If I get to choose, it's always a bonus. Just I don't see the difference between me dropping it here or me dying and dropping it. Also, you know what? I might have to look at that because maybe it's only when I am killed, or dazed or whatever. So that's a good thing. So if you guys, I guess.
Black Widow.
For the Black Widow, I think you're talking about
3,
shields.
That's what I'm looking right now, Shield.
Yeah, so with Black Widow, when an objective token would drop, you can place it. It's not
Okay,
it's not from like a daze or anything like that.
That's probably the same thing then with the Shield Agents.
It's not like you can daze a shield agent anyways.
True, but I didn't know if it was like when you KO them or something like that. That's when it would happen. Then it would be like, oh, that sucks that it doesn't work by like one cool ability.
Shield Agents are the same way.
Oh, there you go.
All right, well, since we didn't talking about nothing but extracts here, let's move over to an extract. We'll go with Inhumans deploy advanced weaponry. This is 18 threat. There are 4 asset tokens, and this is on a new shape as well. This is a shape O. There are 2 tokens on each side of the table, hard flanking at the center point line. The interact. Inhuman weapon. Pick up this inhuman weapon. A character may only hold 1 inhuman weapon at a time. A character holding an inhuman weapon may use the following attack once per turn. It cannot add additional dice to this attack or modify dice during this attack. It is a range 3 beam energy weapon with 6 dice, 0 cost.
Montesi.
Yeah, though.
Energy Montesi.
Montesi used to be energy. It's Montesi with an extra book.
It's
in a different, definitely different pattern, but it does seem weird that we decided to have 2 extracts that are
next to each other. You can only have one, but they're all within one of each other.
Right. It's not even that. I'm more thinking of like, we have Montesi, which is also 18. And then you have this one at 18. They both have pick them up and you get beams. They both have the same, like, you can't add additional dice kind of thing. It's just weird. They're very similar.
Yeah, I feel like they should have just took Montesi and changed the position, because I know we'll talk about it a little bit later on. They changed out some of the cards that were allowing for down the middle kind of
I think
games.
Montesi is sticking around though, right?
No, it's sticking around as far as I saw.
Yeah,
it said it was still
Montesi's
in
there.
Because I thought when I saw this card that Montesi was going to go away because they were so similar. And I was wrong.
Something I am a little bit confused about, but you can tell me, John, because you seem to know this game more than I do. The cannot add additional dice, does that block crits from exploding?
It does.
It does. Oh, all right. It's no.
Yeah. I don't know. This isn't really a card that I would even think about taking.
I take it. These are great with grunts. Anytime you have grunts, they can pick up an extract. This is phenomenal. Like, your grunts are running around with a fucking beam 6 attack.
Yeah, so you take Montesi and this one then in your shield roster?
I mean, they're both 18. I like 18 a lot. I prefer to play with more stuff than less stuff. It does seem to suit to like the style of play to go up there, get them, and bounce back. So like I could run up there with Nick and the shield agents, grab 2 of them right away, which means I'll be up so if I have priority, I'm up basically 3 points to their 1 point on extracts first round.
This screams scenario play more than attrition.
I think all of them are going to scream scenario play to an extent. Maybe
all the ones that we're talking about
one
today. I think the one that we discussed last time is more attrition based.
Yeah, I think they're just leaning that way.
All right. Let's go into another secure.
All right, read that name.
Mkron? We're going to go with Mkron.
Beautiful.
Okay. I'm gonna bet it's nothing like what you just said.
I'm probably sure it isn't. Maybe it's Mkaran. Anyways, Mkaran, we'll go with that. Crystals gets Heroes Home. This is on a G. Do we have G before?
Yeah, this was sword base.
Is that sword base? Okay. It's 4 points of interest. By the way, I've been saying it, but each of these are all you score 1 victory point at the cleanup phase. The interact. If no enemy characters are contesting this crystal, you now control this crystal. Otherwise, roll 1 die. If the result is a crit, wild, or hit, you control the crystal. So, free pay to flip. It's interesting. It's just 1 die, so it's not like you have the other ones where you had to beat the number of people contesting it. Additionally,
so it's sword.
Is that exactly how sword was phrased?
Yes.
Okay, so this is a 19 threat sword then. Great.
What was sword before? Sword was 15.
15.
Sword was 15.
Yeah.
I believe sword is one of the ones that
But the second part of this card
Yep,
is the difference.
So during the power phase, each character holding 1 or more extract tokens that is within contesting range of a crystal gains 1 power.
Yeah, so it's a combination of sword and infinity formula at a 19 cost.
So you didn't have to have an extract in infinity.
No, that's right. You did not.
So this is actually one that I would argue is almost pushing towards attrition. It's a very close, secure layout, and it rewards you for having extracts and secures. And at that range, if you're playing a webs, you don't want to be there.
Right.
No, you do not. Because I'm going to take my Immortal Hulk, and I'm going to go hammers turn 1, and then I'm going to go plop right on top of one of those things. And I can get 4 power turn.
Yep. So,
Mhm.
I don't know what much more to say about that one, except for I feel like this one is our first one that we talked about that is more attrition focused. All right, let's go on to Strike Team Secures Shield. Yeah, Strike Team Secures Shield Relay. This is on a D format, so one that we're actually familiar with. 4 points of interest. The interact is roll a dice equal to this character's physical defense. If the roll contains more wild, crits, or hits, then the number of healthy characters contesting this, that generator is now controlled by this player. Characters within 2 of any generator they control may reroll 1 die in their defense rolls.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
You stack that with you throw fucking Zemo and Namor to the back point, and they're in their line, and I take that point, and I'm adding another reroll on your defense. Not to mention if you're playing in humans, you already have an innate reroll, and then you're on a point. It's not even on it, within 2.
Yeah, it's really nice for the affiliations that are already going to benefit from rerolls of some sort.
Right. You're going to want those.
Web Warriors will even benefit from this too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So,
And it's spread out enough that it works for them. That'll probably be a good Web Warrior one.
What was the one that used to give cover? Is that
Scoundrels.
one? Scoundrels?
Yeah,
Okay.
and Scoundrels was the 5-pip one. It's the one we're about to talk about. It was that map.
Gotcha. All right. It's taking me a second to pull up the next one.
I think cover is just better, though, than a reroll.
Cover is better. That's why I was wondering if the cover
I
one was
agree.
sticking around or if that was one of the ones that...
It's still in there as far as I saw. I have it pulled up, so when we get to that
it's still on
point.
the list. It will still be around.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, we're going to another extract now. Terrigen Canister's Fuel Doomsday Device. This is on a F layout. There are 5 canister tokens, aka assets. The interact, pick up a canister. A character can only hold 1 canister at a time. When a character picks up a canister, there's too many C words in there for me for some reason. Roll a dice equal to this character's physical defense. If the result does not contain 1 or more crit or wild results, the character gains the poison condition. Additionally, while the character is holding a canister, it becomes speed slow or short. So, yeah.
Ooh.
I would also kind of argue this is almost a 5-point scoring attrition piece. This is like a mid-range scenario. You want to do some fighting, but you're not extract and run.
Man, I tell you what, you know who loves this shit, man? Abomination's gonna love this map.
Yeah.
Yep.
Huh.
Any of the ones that have the poison
Yeah, but
spreading
his
and
is like
damage.
Yeah, but he
his is
does
just
damage from
extra
poison.
good.
Yeah.
His is the way it should be done. And you're moving slow, so he's gonna catch you too. Yeah, if you're playing Hydra or Crime, this might be a good one. So this one will be interesting because I like that you get the poison if you fail, because you're probably gonna fail. So you pick it up no matter what.
Yes.
It's just you roll your defense and whether or not you get poison.
Yes.
And then you're just slow because you're carrying around this big canister. I like that. That's cool.
Yeah, I think this one's pretty well
Yeah,
balanced.
I like it. I think it's a good one.
The next one is another extract. Unexpected Guests Crash Royal Wedding is a 17 threats. There are 4, what is the formation? An N formation. There are 4 guest tokens, aka civilians, shown on the map below. Did we have N before? This looks...
No, this is new.
This is like
N
slightly
and
wider.
M are very, very similar. Like if you look at them in like right next to each other, hold on, pull it up right now. So M is a 4 and a 2 out, where N is a 5 out for the sides.
Okay.
But they're both 5 and 2 from your deployment zone. So I don't know what the difference is in like measurements with a 4 and a 2 put together and the difference between that and a 5. It's got to be like 2 inches.
So what is a G layout then? This looks very similar to what a G was. It's just wider.
G is a 5 and a 2. G is the sword one. That one's the close spot.
Right. So this is the same layout, just two
wider
You're thinking of a B.
Yeah, and then B's wider than this.
Right. B is, instead of a 4 and a 2, it's just a 4. So there's literally 4 different boxes in the middle. There's B, which is the widest, N, then N, then G. And the box gets smaller and smaller and smaller. When you get to the G, though, they also move further out. And it's a 4 and a 3 out.
Oh, it's further out, too. Okay.
Yeah, but all the other ones, though, it's all 5 and 2. So the other 3 box ones are 5s and 2s out from your deployment zone. The only difference is how close are they together from the side.
I mean,
they're really not that much different.
In reality, how many positions can they put on the map?
There's a lot you could do.
We could go back to A. I miss it.
No, I do not miss A. It's fucking stupid.
All right. So the interact is you just pick up a guest. You can only hold 1 guest at a time during the power phase, starting with the player with priority. Each player or each character that a player controls that is not within 2 of a secure objective that is also holding a guest, the controlling player's opponent chooses a secure objective. That character is then pushed towards that secure objective short.
Yeah, it's a lot of words.
It is, but basically this is saying if you're not on a secure, I'm bringing you back into the fight.
Oh, yeah. So if you're running away, I'm pulling you back.
Correct. And you get to choose which one it goes towards. So there's some interesting plays you can do with backstopping yourself, though. You know, just wrap yourself around a light post or something and be like, yeah, no matter what direction you pull me in, I'm stopping here.
That one's a weird one. I think I'd have to play that one. That one feels like I have to play it a couple of times just to be like...
Yeah, and I can't recall. Is this one of the ones that they said we're not going into the...
We'll get to that once we go over this last one, then we'll go to which ones are not going to be available.
That we had one more.
Right.
All right, pull that up real quick.
Wedding Party.
Yeah, it's Wedding Party. I just don't... What is the layout for this one?
It's a new layout. It's the last new layout. It's an R.
This is an R. Okay.
Yep.
So, Wedding Party targeted in terrible attack. It is a 20 threat. There are 2 target of opportunity tokens on the board. This is the only one where you will score 2 victory points for securing them in the cleanup phase. During the cleanup phase, each of the VIPs attempt to flee. These are the 2. Do we have other... Sorry, this is totally random. Do we have other secures that move other than Fisk, right?
Mayor
That's the
Fisk.
only one?
This is Fisk.
This is just Fisk. Read on. Okay. During the cleanup phase, each VIP attempts to flee. Starting with the player with priority, each player places all VIPs secured by their opponent within 2 of the current position. Each VIP placed this way may only be placed once per round. Then each character within 2 of VIP loses 1 power.
And in Fisk, you're stunned.
And take a damage.
Yes. Fisk, you stun, take a damage. This one, you lose a power, but it's a different layout.
It's also in the cleanup phase, so if you spent all your power, you're not losing out on your power generation from the power phase.
That's good.
Yeah. It's
This-
just a 20.
It's a wider Fisk, though,
Yeah.
right? Fisk is a lot closer on the sides, I think.
And so with those ones and the ones we talked about in the previous episodes, they are definitely rotating some of these out of your standard timeline. So they're standard games. We have lost the Shire Empress in Style, Demons Downtown, Gamma Wave, Research Station are all excluded. Pummeled is gone. It's weird because the new one, that Shield Relay one, is not in the standard timeline, which I think is weird if you made one, but it's not in there.
So both the
Spider Portal or Spider People is gone. Sword Base is gone.
so they did Strike Team secure Shield Relay just because they said for your more scenario-based teams, they would have a little bit more of optimization versus
But then why make it?
attrition teams.
Why make it?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. Now,
Especially if it's a brand new card. Now, the other two that are not in the standard timeline is Ship Security Breach and Royal Rescue, and then the Save Shire Empress in Style, because those two are meant to be played together
yes.
for like scenario-based stuff. And that's fine. I get that. But then why make Strike Team a brand new secure and then just straight up take it out of timeline right away?
Because
so in reality, you're only getting 3 new secures.
I think it's purely because in the design space, they probably made this scenario a year ago, and they're now trying to rebalance the game, and they realize that that's just not within.
Or then you should have just pulled the damn thing from the box.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. I don't know how long they have this in print. Obviously, people have already gotten the box released to them early, so they've probably had this printed for at least 3 months now.
Yeah.
Now, that means all the 15s are gone.
And all the E's are gone.
All the E's are gone. And then 16s on the extract side are now gone.
Oh, there's 1 E left, right? Montesi's still there.
Montesi's still there. Yeah, so none of the new crises were E's. So we didn't get any new E's.
But they did.
7-2.
But they
Yeah, we
did
did get a
kill
lot of
all the 15s. There's no more
Yep.
15.
Yeah, no more
15s,
15s, and then no more 16s on extracts.
Didn't they just add a new 16 there?
No.
That was a secure. Yep, okay.
Yeah, so we have 2 16 secures, Mayor Fisk, and then his carbon copy almost pretty much in the wedding party. I don't know. I mean, I know we talked about it before that one of the thoughts we had was that they would start making 17 the low end of everything, and they'd start phasing out your low cost objectives to try to help balance things. But I would have liked to see more of a variety out of the pack, out of the box coming, instead of it being mostly 17 is not my fun area. I don't like playing 17.
17 is my least favorite threat currently, so I'm not really looking forward to always playing on 17s, but 17 is the prevalent number. I mean, we do have 3 16s, but they're all secures.
It's
I
nice
like
'cause
18s, but
hopefully now you'll have that, where I always hated it when I had to pick 15. I hated it. Or when you got stuck and you only had 15. Ugh. I hate 15. I'm so glad it's gone. I like the 20. I like that the new Mayor Fisk one is 20. I think that's a cool map. I think crime will love that map. I like that it's 20, so you get to play with more crime, so you get more characters. I'm all for higher points just because I want to play with more toys. I have all these models. I want to use them. I really hated the Asgard BLT where it's like, I just take these 3 models. I'm like, that's so fucking boring. I get it's good, but it's boring.
Now, I get you. If you can play with more toys, why not, right?
Right.
There's so many characters in this game, and unfortunately, 2/3 of them never get played.
well, that's not going to fix that.
No, there's a lot more things that
No,
are going to be
but,
needed to fix that.
I mean, even within my roster, I'm looking at my 10 and going, all right, well, I take maybe these 4 or 5 always, and the others are just there to fill in the roster. So it'll be interesting. If there's a lot more 17s, I kind of have to rework what I'm taking, because 17 is just not a good number for me. So I got to figure it out.
I don't really know if I play a lot of 17 or not. I feel like I
17
like to be higher.
17 definitely benefits certain affiliations more than others.
Yeah. Well, everybody's got their, strengths and weaknesses or points wise and stuff. But yeah, that's all the new stuff that was revealed. I know we had talked in a previous podcast, since we have these new keywords, with stealth, peerless, and reserves and stuff. We were talking about things that we might like to see, and we had a guy that ran our last Crisis event. He came up with a really good one, and since we have new keywords, I figured we'd bring it up. He thought a good addition would be the keywords of hero and villain, and this would be added to your character as well as your affiliation. So some affiliations would be villain affiliations, some would be heroes. Obviously, you can tell which ones are which, but it doesn't mean you can't have both, such as Winter Soldier or Taskmaster, prime examples. They go, sometimes are good, sometimes are bad. I think this would be really cool for tactics cards. This would allow more generic tactics cards into the game, where your card would specifically be like, this is a villain card. Like Cruelty, even though I know it's a crime card, but Cruelty is a cool idea for a villain card. And I think that would be something really neat added to the game to give more generic cards, but you also just don't want those generic cards. Brace obviously works for everybody, but maybe you want something that's like Sacrifice. So Sacrifice might be a hero card, because that's who would really do that. Villains don't really do that. However, villains could have like an opposite version of Sacrifice.
You're targeted, you pull the attack off to somebody. Well, no, that's the same thing though, right?
So Sacrifice would be that way, but maybe the hero's the opposite version then.
Well, Sacrifice, each character has to pay power to play Sacrifice. So maybe the villain's version is only the original target pays the power, and then he serves up the other person.
Right. Well, I think maybe the hero's version, would be like you could pull the hero in, like a Heroes for Hire or something. I don't know. They were just cool thoughts. I think it would be cool to keyword everybody with hero or villain for certain things. I also think like it would be neat for like affiliation purposes and whatnot. Like maybe you can, I don't know. I don't know what I'm going with that.
I mean, I like the idea, and I think there's a lot of space there, but it requires a massive update of cards to make that work.
Yeah, that'd be a huge overhaul.
Yeah, but I think it'd be an easy overhaul too, where in reality you don't have to update the cards for a while to say hero or villain. I feel like most characters, it's pretty obvious on what they are, with obviously like the few exceptions that go, both ways kind of thing, which probably isn't that many.
And so with characters like that, would you just then have a different keyword set up that they can play either card, either type of card?
Nope, they would just get both.
Bad?
They would get the keyword hero and villain, which would allow them to play hero and villain cards. So like, if let's say Sacrifice was a hero card, then Winter Soldier could use it, but he could also use the Cruelty card if that was a villain card. And that was generic,
I mean, there is a ton of cards that don't get played much. I mean, granted, I know there's a lot of affiliation cards, but the non-affiliated cards, there's only a handful that people really take, and the rest are sitting in a pile, at least up on my shelf.
Your pile
dust.
is massively small then, because there's not that many generic cards. Like what, 7 generic cards?
No, there's more than that, isn't there?
No. There's very little amount of generic cards. They like destroyed all of them in the last culling. Pretty sure there's only like 7, and half of them are restricted cards. 14. Yeah, more than I thought. Double more, twice as much as I thought. But
It's not a ton, but and I guess are they going to start going away then from non-affiliated tactics cards or non-character specific tactics cards?
It seems to be that way already once they got rid of all those, and all the character card or packs that have come out since are either affiliation based or character based. So who knows? We'll have to see. I mean, we know what's coming out in the Inhumans stuff. We pretty much know what's coming out in Gladiators box for cards wise, right? We saw his cards.
Yes. Yeah, we
Yes.
saw his
Yeah.
cards. Have they revealed or announced what was after him? Or
The
what the
only
next thing
things
is?
that are on the list that haven't been shown is the Brotherhood box with Avalanche, Lady Mastermind, and Exodus. Phoenix is on the way still that we saw the renderings of. We saw the rendering for Spider-Man 2099, and he's going to be in a 4-man box, but we don't know who else he's coming with. There's a 3-pack Defenders box, which has Tigra, Ronin, and I want to say White Tiger, but I'm not positive. It's another street-level Defender girl.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then
It wouldn't be Kate Bishop, would it?
no, it's not.
Okay.
I know it's Tigra, and I'm pretty sure the other one's just. Oh no, you know what it is? It's Echo. That's who it is. So Ronin, Echo, and Tigra are all in that box, and I think that's it for what we know about, like what we've seen renderings of, not things that we've heard rumors of. These things are 100% coming out on the way at some point. And they should be the next set of releases because they're the only things we've seen renderings of, but we haven't got any further information from. I took pictures a long time ago, but I'd have to
Scroll and back
I
and
had to
find them.
scroll pretty far to find these suckers.
So then things that are going to be shown off at Adepticon then,
We'll probably see models for all those boxes.
and then
We'll probably get a glimpse of Phoenix's card, is what I would bet.
and then I'm assuming things that they're showing for the first time at Adepticon, some of those releases might actually come out this year then too, because we don't have many. And how often do they do releases for characters?
I mean, every month we're getting like 2 boxes.
So
We didn't get anything this month.
Oh, for February?
Yeah.
Because we just got Man-Thing, Elsa, Yondu, and Nova.
It does seem like it's 2 boxes every 2 months.
Well, yeah. But we got those at like the end of January, but we're getting the other stuff at the end
Before
of March.
Adepticon. I feel like they would have pushed it off until late March if Adepticon wasn't right there in front of it.
Right.
yeah, it's not a exact
Speaking of
release
Adepticon,
window every time.
when we were talking about what is rotating in and what is rotating out, they made a press release saying that all the new Crisis cards are going to be legal for Adepticon. And actually, that rotation is mandatory for Adepticon, at least in the singles event. We do not know how that's impacting timeline, though.
Yeah,
Those definitely going to have to do some play testing and fiddling with to, see what, because I mean, that's a big difference.
It's a huge difference.
Yeah, it's massive. Now, are there more Crisis cards to pick from? So now we're not forced to take all but one like last time?
Well, in timeline, there's only 2 extra cards right now.
Oh, okay.
And they haven't said that they're changing anything about timeline. But yeah, it does change your singles design space because we'll have only 2 weeks or a week and a half between the release of those cards and when Adepticon actually
it's like
is.
2 weeks. It's like a week and a half because technically we're leaving like Wednesday.
Correct.
So, well, with all that stuff, we have our dates for our next Crisis Cup events. Since we've done the first one already this year, we are going to be doing our second Crisis Cup event at Titan Games and Hobbies in Timonium, Maryland. And that will be on April 12th. And we are going to get the Longshanks up here. You're hearing it first here. So I just got to get the Longshanks up, and it should be up in the next couple of days. After that, we set our date for our third event at Bazooka Games in Westminster, Maryland. That'll be July 20th. For our fourth event, we're doing Huzzah Hobbies. Date is not set yet. Most likely we're looking at October 11th, but it's so far ahead in the future, it's hard to set things up. We will also be having our last chance qualifier for anybody who couldn't make those events and still wants a shot at that title belt. That will be also at Titan Games and Hobbies, November 15th. Then we are going to have our championship. We're still deciding where we're going to put that. But alongside our championship, we had a lot of requests for running a side, fun event. While the top 8 are battling it out for the belt, people still want to come and play in a tournament of some kind. So we're going to put in our poll for this episode of what do you guys want to see for that fun extra event. Do you just want to do a regular event? We're looking at doubles. We're looking at affiliation battles. Maybe some kind of Christmas theme since it's basically going to be around that time. So let us know if you see something on there that or you didn't see something on there that you want to play. Let me know, and we'll definitely take a good look at it and see what we come up with.
So yeah, the next thing is we were talking about for Adepticon some of the wish lists we had of what we would like to see revealed throughout it. I know John, you were pretty excited. You had some ideas of what you were hoping for, and Sean, I know you had a couple ideas of who you think might be there at Adepticon. You guys want to go over what your thoughts are, what you're thinking will be shown off?
Sean, I think you go first. I probably have a longer
All right.
list than you do,
You
but
definitely have a longer list than me.
I'm gonna call out if I have the same people on the list.
So let's break it up into, and we'll rotate it back and forth. Okay. So let's start with who you believe is most likely to be previewed, and we already had to say we had to exclude Doctor Doom and the Fantastic Four. I'm assuming we're also excluding Silver Surfer because I'd love to see Silver Surfer, but
You can put him on there. I don't think we see him, but I'm fine with him.
that's
being
who
on
I
that
would
list.
like to see on the list. But I think more than likely we'll see a couple new mutants dropped out. So I think we'll probably see Polaris and Banshee.
I have Polaris on my list. I did not have Banshee.
Okay.
I think if Polaris comes out, she comes out with Havoc in a box.
Yeah, I can see that.
Because they're married.
I'm trying to think of who else I had on my most likely to come out. Originally I had Kang on there, but I think that they probably
that
canceled.
is on my list as big baddie for this year.
I feel like they probably put him on the back burner since the MCU canceled him, but if they come out with Kang, I'd be so happy.
Yeah, I had him because I was like, who's going to be the big baddie for this year? And I don't think it's Phoenix. Like, I think because we've already seen Phoenix, I was hoping for something else. Kang was my call for that one, too.
Okay, well, that's my list of what I think is definitely coming out. What did you have on your
have
definite?
a couple for like definitely that I think we're gonna see. I think we're gonna see Sentry. I think we're gonna. These are also characters that like I think we're gonna see them, but I also don't really care that much. I think we're gonna see Howard the Duck.
I would love that. I would really love that.
I fucking love Howard the Duck.
I could with the goofy characters they've been putting out like recently and stuff. I can definitely see Howard the Duck being one of them. Wonder Man is another character I think we'll definitely be seeing at some point. And Jessica Jones is a character I am surprised has not already made an appearance. Those are my four that like I think we're gonna see these four characters. Do I necessarily want them? Whatever. I could take it or leave those four.
Okay, so let's go then to the characters that there's no way in hell that they're ever going to make them, but it'd be hilarious if they did. So I only have two on there, and both of these are pulled out of the idea that they release Dracula and Frankenstein's monster. So if they're gonna go with those comics, I want to see Sherlock Holmes and I want to see Conan the Barbarian added to the game.
Conan the Barbarian is on my list.
Is it really? Okay.
Yep, he is on my who I think we could see in the future. Maybe we don't get him this year, but these are characters that I definitely think will be in the game at some point. Maybe not this Adepticon, but I think we're going to get him. And Conan was on my list. Conan, Leadership, Dark Avengers, let's go.
My list is a lot shorter than all your guys' list of expectations. We already kind of know a certain 4 people that are most likely going to be showing up, so I'm not worried about them. But I feel like Silver Surfer is probably going to be there. And if not Silver Surfer, I just have a feeling Winter Guard's going to get some love this year. That's something I'm hoping for at least. And there are some really cool characters that I started looking into with Winter Guard. And there's 2 Slavic gods apparently for Winter Guard.
They're very cool.
That look awesome. One's called Chernobog, and the other one is Pirun, something like that. He almost looks like the Slavic version of like Odin or Thor. He's very got horn helmet, buff, and then Chronobog looks like crazy monstrous. He's supposed to be a god of darkness, misfortune, and chaos. So I would just love to see some of these guys come in.
Did
maybe
you
like
see any images of him? Because his whole mythology is he has a gigantic ass hammer that he wields around.
Yeah, the pictures that I've seen of him.
If you haven't seen it, that Winter Guard picture, like if you just Google search Winter Guard Marvel, there's going to be like a picture of their team, like all rushing forward in that standard superhero comic booky pose. That team looks awesome. I would love to see them in the game.
Is that what the Thunderbolts thing is? I haven't looked into that at all, but I saw that David Harbour was in Thunderbolts, and I'm like,
No, don't. The Marvel Universe's version of the Thunderbolts is utterly atrocious, and they've ruined the Thunderbolts.
okay, I haven't
That's
looked into
not what
it
they
at all.
are. The comic book version of the Thunderbolts are awesome, especially when Norman Osborn takes over. Good stuff.
I mean, they might show up too. That's a thought because of, I know they don't really associate the movies with the game, but releases for things. There's a lot of movie releases coming out this year coming up, so I wonder if they're going to match
I
that.
would stay away from the movie stuff. They have it all wrong. Those Thunderbolts are awful. Don't do it. Just read the comic book, do it the right way, because that's what everybody wants. Everybody wants
100%.
Citizen V. We want Zemo 3 as Citizen V.
But yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at. I'd like some Winter Guard boxes. Maybe they get like a 4-pack out there for people. And then I would like to see if other characters are going to be popping up that we're assuming. I'd like to see Silver Surfer along with it.
John, did you give us your list of absolutely outrageous characters?
No, I was
Okay.
waiting. So I have 2 separate lists right now. I'll save the outrageous characters. So I also have a list of who I could see coming out, and they just might not come out this year, but I think these are all definite possibilities. Like you said, Polaris. I definitely think Havoc and Polaris come out in a box together. If you're going to do Havoc, do the 90s Havoc. Don't do current Havoc. He looks horrible. I want big jacket, blonde hair popping out Havoc. Havoc is the way to go. You did 90s X-Men. Don't ruin it. Stick with 90s X-Factor too, which will give us a whole new affiliation too, which will be great. On that New Mutants kick, I think Cannonball is your prime New Mutant star. To go with X-Factor, I have Multiple Man with Grunt, which I think would be awesome, and Strong Guy, who is my personal favorite. I think that would be the coolest model. I would play him in every game. Shatterstar for X-Force, I think is a prime candidate to come out. Let's see what else I had. For Weapon X, I was thinking Lady Deathstrike in a box with Silver Samurai.
Well, I could see that one.
Right? That would be a cool box. Another box, I was thinking Ares and Hercules in the same box.
You know, so Hercules was on my list of, I think, is coming.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think Ares would be a really cool one to bring with him. If you haven't seen Marvel's version of Ares, that dude's awesome. Sentry rips him in half in one of the comic books. This one, it could be a long shot, but he's still on my list of I think we will eventually see him because so many X-Men villains have shown up that I didn't think we would get. Sauron, the pterodactyl guy.
Oh, yeah.
Would that not be a cool fucking model?
It could be, or it could be terrible, depending on how they
Could
did
be.
it.
And then I think if you're going to put him in a box, we're doing Savage Land. He comes with Khazar and the tiger. He's just basically a caveman with a tiger, with a saber-tooth tiger.
That is a far out there pick.
No, Sauron's not, I don't think. I think he's like in the same field as like Omega Red, where he's an X-Men villain, but he doesn't really have a place. So he probably goes in Cabal, where we throw everything that doesn't have a place. Sentinels, new Sentinel mark. And I think we get a Bastion leader. He just looks like a normal dude, but he's like a super advanced Sentinel, and he would be the new leader. A model that would be awesome, Giant Man.
How would they do Giant Man?
You would transform just like you would with Ant-Man, except he would start small, and then he would transform big, and it would be like Sentinel size.
Okay.
Because Miss Marvel goes from small to large base, and it works out fine in the transformation. So you would just do who do they have now? Is Ant-Man Hank Pym or is he Scott Lang?
Oh, I
think he's
know.
Hank Pym. I think he's Hank Pym, but Hank Pym is Giant Man. Scott Lang's not Giant Man. Those are all the ones that I think we will see eventually. Now, you thought Sauron was out of left field.
What about
Okay.
do you think they're ever going to go back to the Eternals at all?
No, fuck the Eternals. That was the biggest diarrhea movie ever. I don't know what were they thinking. That just shows you how out of touch people were when they made that. They're like, "Isn't this great?" Oh, this is horrible.
It was
What
bad.
were you thinking?
It was a really bad movie.
So out there characters I'd like to see. Deathlock. Have you seen what he looks like?
I have no idea what is he
You'll
from?
look him up. He's Marvel. You'll look him up, and you'll know exactly who I'm talking about. He's like kind of like half cyborg. He kind of looks like a Frankenstein kind of dude.
Okay, yeah.
He's in a lot of Marvel stuff. Like he's always around. So he's a pretty
Oh.
popular character. I would like to see, considering how many characters already exist, I would like to see Exiles get an affiliation, and we get Morph and Blink. And I would want the Exiles version of Morph, the white, like pitch white, ghost looking version of him. I think that would be so cool. Now, these three we're probably never going to get. I want Random from X Factor. You'll have to look him up because I'm sure you don't know who I'm talking about.
Definitely don't know who that is.
Yes, he's really cool. He had an action figure in the 90s. I fucking loved it. He is just like the ultimate badass looking guy.
What is that?
He's
awesome.
What? What? Does he have a gun arm?
Yes, and that's what the action
cannon
figure
arm. It's not even
had.
a gun arm. It's just.
And he was awesome. I would like to see the Brood in the game. I don't know how you do it, but I'm all for putting the Brood in the game somehow. If you don't know what they are, they're xenomorphs for Marvel.
Okay.
And get ready to type this one in. You're going to love this one. I want to see the Sugar Man. This model would be the coolest model.
I have no words.
Is it not cool looking?
That guy. Okay, so you know what this reminds me of? That looks like a freaking Harlequin mask from the 90s Harlequins.
Oh,
Yes, I'll give you that.
I 100% looked at it like MODOK, like, did some deal pack with the devil and ended up being able to walk.
No, this is what happens when Mephisto and MODOK bone.
Yeah.
I'm pretty much.
But I think this model would be so cool in the game. Like, they could do wonders with that model. Those are definitely my, like, out there picks. I don't think we're ever going to get the Sugar Man, and I don't think we're ever going to get Random or the Brood, but
problem
they're
is that
they're listening. Don't count it.
They'll release the Sugar Man and everyone will go, wait, who the hell is that?
What is it?
Yes, you'll hear me.
So Sugar Man gets released and still we don't have Kate Bishop. I really question what the hell they're thinking.
Yeah, I don't know if they do the Young Avengers or not. I mean, that's probably a good one to put into the game because everybody has a real hard-on for Hulkling. I don't really like him, but I read them. They were good books when they first came out. The first run of Young Avengers was great.
Sean, did you have any, like, out there left field ones?
Oh, I started with my out there left field ones.
That was not on my level.
I just wanted to see Sherlock Holmes thrown in there just to see what the hell they would do with that. And then I had Conan the Barbarian on there because I didn't know if they would take him or not.
My out there left field's not really a far left field like yours, John. Firestar, if they would bring her to the game, that'd be one I'd like to see.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
There's a couple affiliations that could come from it because I know New Warriors was a big one that she was in. And then she ended up being in, I mean, she was in a lot, so she was in Avengers and X-Men and all that stuff. But she's just one I grew up with Spider-Man and the Amazing Friends. So her and Iceman kind of like were my go-to characters.
Right, and they definitely
up.
went back towards, like, you know, older age stuff when they did like the Invaders and everything. They're like, this is the older age version of stuff.
But we'll see. Like I said, I know you guys are going. I wish I could go. I'm definitely doing it next year. Just
you want another
pictures.
good character? Look up Mudbug.
You guys heard it here first. Look up Mudbug. That's the next one.
Mudbug, Marvel. That's what we want.
Start sending your emails now to them, please.
I don't want Mudbug. Mudbug, so bad. It's so ugly.
Oh my god! No. Lobster Man? Yeah, sure. Let's go ahead and put.
I don't think he's a lobster. I think he's a crawdad.
Sure. Sorry, Crawdad Man.
Yeah, he's pretty.
Wow.
Hideous.
You know. Meanwhile, I just want Young Avengers, and you're throwing out
Lobster Boy.
Lobster Boy. Yeah.
Oh man. So all right. Is that all for hopes and expectations for Adepticon?
I think so far. I'm really banking though that even though the MCU is done with Kang for now, that we're still gonna get him as a thing. Now, is he just like a basic model? Like, do they just have him because he's always in like that one stance every time you see him, where he's got his arms behind his back and he's just kind of standing there? Is he just on a small base and he just stands there, but he is like outrageously powerful?
I'm hoping so.
because he exists through so many timelines, do you think you have multiples of him on the board?
And that's a good question.
So when you played, there used to be a Marvel trading card game called Marvel Verse. I love this game. I played the shit out of this game. You could build a Kang deck. And usually you couldn't play characters and repeat characters because you could only have one angel on the field. You couldn't have this angel and a different angel. Kang had the exception where you could put as many Kangs as you wanted. And then when a card would, like a plot twist card is what they called them. It was like an enchantment card would play and it would say Kang would be affected. It would affect all of them
So
because they all had the same name.
I'll bring it back to an earlier segment in this episode. What if Kang is the reason why they put reinforcements in the game? And you can just bring in multiple different universe versions of Kang.
I could also go with multiple man too then.
Well, multiple man I think will just be grunts. Where Kang is an exception because so like in reality, multiple man's just a dude. Like he doesn't have any strength or anything like that. He's just a lot of guys. That's his whole power. And he can do like the clone jutsu thing where whatever his clones do, once he brings them back, he gets like the knowledge from those clones. But Kang is like actually separate people, even though they're the same person. They're not clones. They're him from a different timeline, all together.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
It's crazy. Like he's time travel complicated, but that would be crazy. Is that like as you build up into the game, like you start with him, and then each turn you could like put in another one.
Yeah. And think about
he has a lot of
possibilities.
possibilities.
So many things throughout multiple timelines that you could technically put him in any affiliation. He could be affiliated any, or have his own affiliation that is kind of like what Emma Roberts used to have. Or not Emma Roberts. Fucking I've been watching a lot of Scream Queens, American Horror Story, and what else is she in that I just watched recently?
She's in one of the Scream movies.
There was something else, but yeah, I've
Hotel for Dogs. That's what you were thinking of.
No, I was definitely not thinking of Hotel for. But I did watch Scream Queens and American Horror Story.
Oh man, Scream Queens, that is gold. That first season,
the first one is great.
Yeah. Well, I think that's all we got for today.
All right, send us out, John.
Oh, man. Target Acquired Podcast is brought to you by Game Chefs, your ultimate destination for all things tabletop. Whether you're looking for a new exciting board game, assembling your squad in Marvel Crisis Protocol, or building the perfect Warhammer army, Game Chefs has everything you need: miniatures, dice, rulebooks, and the best community of gamers around. And just for you, our amazing listeners, Game Chefs is offering 15% off your next purchase. Just use the code TAG2025. That's TAG2025 at gamechefs.org and save on your next adventure. Roll some dice and level up your game at Game Chefs. Link and code can be found in the description, and that concludes this episode of a Target Acquired Podcast. See ya!